I've picked the Oracle DBA group that the manager has maintained. They have a process, an escalation, a rotation. Each person's profile is in there, so it's all set up so that if it's 3 in the morning, it knows Bob wants a text message and Mary wants a phone call. That's automatic. I don't have to worry about it. If I want to, I can narrow down through certain devices, or I can just leave it and use all their default preferences. Okay? So again, very, very powerful in allowing me to find the right person and notify them on any device they choose without having to think about any of that. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my device up on the desktop here. This is my phone, and that's live. I'm going to go ahead and kick off a notification so you can hear what a phone call would sound like. You can see a text message and also see an email. So let me go ahead and do that here and then bring my phone back up one more time. Okay, we're going to see the text message pop up here in a second. I'm going to ignore that. There it goes. And then we're going to wait for the phone call, and we're going to answer that so we can hear what it sounds like. And here's my phone call. Hello?
Hello, this is xMatters, calling for Desi DosSantos. Press any digit to hear your message.
So go ahead and press a button here.
You have received the following message. I need an Oracle DBA now to respond with, assign the task to me. Press 1. To respond with, I cannot assist. Press 2. To repeat this message, press 9.
So I'll hit 1 here.
The response has been processed. Goodbye.
Hopefully you guys hear that okay. My cell phone's breaking up a little bit, but you get the point. So we heard information about what was going on. I need an Oracle DBA. I can press a button. If it was a remedy trouble ticket, I would have got severity, date and time, trouble ticket number, things like that. Here's what a typical text message would look like. Again, pretty straightforward here. I need an Oracle DBA now. And you'll notice that all of our text messages, the response options are numeric. So you don't have to type a bunch. You just have to type numbers. Okay? And then our email here would look fairly similar. I can change the format of this, put a different logo, format, whatever you want. But again, it's the same thing. It would look this way on my desktop. I can just click on a response option. Now what happened in the background here is we have this tracking screen. And this tracking screen actually shows me what's going on in real time. So in this case, I was only notifying one person for the demo, but if I was notifying 84 people, for example, all these numbers would be changing in real time as people are getting their notifications delivered, as they're responding, etc., as well as the response options. If I needed more people to respond, these bar charts would change as well. At any time, I can click on one of those that will show me the list of all those people with that response, along with the devices they were notified on, whether they delivered, whether they were successful, things like that. Underneath, we also have detailed logging that goes into all the detail of every single device, the protocol used, the node used, if the guy hung up the phone halfway through the call, everything's logged. All right? So that was a very simple message being kicked off. Let's take that one step further. So let's say I do have a need to get people on a conference call, and this happens in many data centers on a daily basis, where I need 3 people or 8 people or 20 people on a conference call to figure out what's going on. What we have is the ability to create relevance engine panels. In this particular case, I'm going to show you one that was created for an executive. It allows this executive to actually kick off a conference call. It could be a help desk person, it could be an operator, whoever you want to have access to this panel. In this case, I've got certain required fields I'm asking the person to fill out, and then he's going to pick either people or groups. Now, instead of sending out a bunch of emails and text messages and begging the person to join the conference call, giving them a phone number and a 12-digit code and all that stuff, what we're going to do is we're going to actually call all these 3 people at the same time on the phone and push them into the conference call live. So the whole thing's going to happen in literally 30 seconds. Okay? Now, in this example here, I've kind of paused it for a second. This individual knows who he wants, so he's picked 3 names. In a typical IT example, I may not know who I want. I may need a Unix admin, an Oracle DBA, and an operations person. So I just need to type those group names. We'll find the right person on call and push them into the conference call. Okay? So let's go ahead and listen to this. We're going to push these 3 people into this conference call and hear how it sounds.
Hello.
You are receiving an automated conference bridge request. Press any digit to hear your message. Hello, Desi. You are required on a bridge for a executive escalation. Please attend as soon as possible. To respond with join the bridge, press 1. To repeat this message, press 9. You will now be placed in the conference bridge.
Hi, this is Kathy. Okay,
Thanks for joining the call, guys.
So now that I have everybody online, I have full control. Let's say there's some noise in the background. I can mute somebody if I need to by just using this panel. I can also drop somebody. Let's say I don't need Stacy on the call. She can either hang up or I can make sure she's off. Maybe she's a vendor and I don't want her on the call anymore. And then at some point, I can end the conference call from here. So I can do that. It'll make sure to drop everybody.
Goodbye.
And then what comes up is a conference history report. And the history report allows me to see a list of who was in the conference call, when they joined, and also when they left. Okay? So very, very powerful in finding those people and getting them on the call right away. The last thing I was going to touch on is over on the left-hand side here, you may see other relevance engines. We just talked about the conference calling one. But if you're in a certain environment or a certain business vertical, you can build these based on what you need to kick off notifications to find people. If you're a hospital and you need to find certain nurses with certifications for a certain location, you can build a panel for that. If you need to kick off Amber Alerts, you can build a panel for that as well, making it very easy for people to click, kick off a message that's nicely formatted. If you happen to be in an airport or you need to kick off things about earthquake evacuations, that's all available. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Here's one example that I'm going to touch on real quick, and this is an example for notifying customers about an outage or maintenance window. So again, here this handles both. Maybe this is an update to a message that I sent out earlier, and it happens to be digital video that's affected, this one right here, and I have a remedy trouble ticket number. Certain areas are affected by the outage, and on and on. There's various different fields here that are very specific to a particular company. Okay, so in creating this for yourself, as an administrator, you have an edit button. This allows you to create all those fields and pull-down lists, whether they're cascading menus or fill in the blank boxes, check boxes, whatever you want. So you create the panel fairly simple. If I need them to have a conference call button, I drag and drop that over. They now can kick off conference calls. Okay. The second step is allowing you to create what the message looks like for email, text, and voice. So here's what an email would look like, and I can have an header at the top with a logo. I can drag and drop different fields over here, and basically I'm laying out a nice email template. Same thing for text messages, and then voice. If I need to call the person on the phone, what should I say? Again, I'm dragging and dropping variables over, and then I have literals in here, and I can record these in up to 12 different languages. It'll actually play the correct language based on the person's profile. Okay. The last piece is if I need them to respond. I can have multiple responses here if I need. In this case, I have one, acknowledge over text, email, and voice. I've actually got it to the point where I can decide which button they're going to push on the phone. So all of that is underneath each one of these relevance engine panels, allowing you to kick off these things manually. These also can be web-enabled, so I can actually kick these off from a REST API if I wanted to as well. All right? So that was what I had to present. I'm going to go ahead and bring the PowerPoint back up here on the last slide and invite Dick to come back and kind of close out with questions and answers.
Sure. Thanks very much, Desi. Hey, great job. The one thing that you didn't mention is I know there's integrations available to a large number of systems. Could you explain a little bit more about who you work with?
Sure. So we have integrations with all the major vendors, Microsoft, ServiceNow, BMC, CA, HP, IBM, with a number of their products, not only just incident management and change management, but also network management, batch job management, and other areas within the data center.
Okay. Yeah, let me expand on that a little bit, because I know we're working now at a job where we've started with the BMC BPPM, and I think it's going to move to the remedy side. So I believe the way it's going to work is they're going to have a variety of different alerts that are going to be consolidated using your Relevance engine. Is that kind of the idea here, is to consolidate, have a sort of a single pane of glass for alert management?
Yes. I mean, we have, I would probably say more than 75% of our customers have more than one integration. Just like you talked about, BPPM and Remedy is a very typical one, where you've got BPPM events coming to us as well as Remedy events. Maybe if something's higher enough priority, it needs to automatically create a ticket. It can go from BPPM to Remedy than us, but you've got all the options. If it's a lower priority situation, maybe there's some kind of a situation on a server that's not really important, but somebody wants to know about it, a database guy or somebody, they can get the notification directly from BPPM.
Okay, and I can imagine that there's a lot, especially on the BPPM side, there's a lot of alerts that are sometimes hard to make any sense out of. So do you help with any of that filtering? Or
actually, we don't do any kind of filtering or
Yeah.
correlation. So we go
Okay.
directly off of what BPPM does. We do have
Okay.
interaction though. So when we get a notification out of BPPM, we can respond and go back and update the console. If you want to. So.
Okay. Okay. Well, here's a question that just came in in the Q&A box, and obviously now would be a good time if there are any other questions. But anyway, the question is, how difficult is this to get set up? So I think what they're asking for is maybe a little bit more information about implementation and how long that takes and what's required.
Sure.
Yeah.
So first of all, it's an on-demand system, so getting it up and running is fairly quick. Within an afternoon, the actual server is up, ready to go, and partitioned for you as a customer. From there, RightStar takes the rest of the time, and it typically is about a 3 to 4 week process. A lot of the time is going to be spent on process engineering. If you've been doing things manually, you've got spreadsheets and things like that, we need to automate that. And that's where RightStar's expertise is in getting that information out of the people that are doing it manually and putting it into the automated system, into the Relevance engine, and getting all that going. So typically it's a 3 to 4 week process. And again, like I said, a lot of it is process engineering. It's not typically a technical issue.
Okay. Another question here is what type of cell phones are supported? It looked like you had an iPhone, right?
Yeah. Anything.
Okay.
So we can send an SMS to any phone worldwide in any language. We can do a phone call with any phone worldwide. Okay. One of the things I guess I didn't touch on, and I'm going to pop out of this thing here to bring it up since I typically forget to cover this, but let's go ahead and do it while we're here live. We do have an app, and the app is available on Android and BlackBerry and iPhone. And let me bring mine back up here and show you what that app does. What it allows me to do is these relevance engines I was talking about right here. Okay, there's my app. The icon's right there. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. You'll see that the menu that comes up is the exact same menu as over here. Okay, so send messages, situation management, network services. So if I wanted to go and kick off that conference call, I can literally come in here on my phone or my iPad or whatever it is, click that, select the recipients, and then go hit the send button. So everything you see here automatically shows up on your device if you have the app and if you have permission to kick off that message. Very, very powerful if I'm not sitting at my desktop, allowing me to kick off those notifications for any kind of a purpose. At the same time, this app also gives me all the reporting information, like that event that we just kicked off a few minutes ago. I can bring that up and I can see that I got one person that accepted, it was responded to, we're done, and I don't have any pending issues outstanding. Okay?
Okay. I like it. All right. I guess one question that I would have, maybe some people are thinking, I would assume this happens a lot, is let's say somebody makes an investment with Remedy, or they make an investment in CA or HP or a number of one of these products, and then they say, well, we really need some better alert management than what comes standard out of the box. And then somebody may say, well, gee, we spent all this money on the software. We don't want to spend any more money. Yet when I talked earlier, when we first signed on, I said, it's all about value now, right? And so maybe you could talk a little bit about that. I would assume that you don't get much if from Remedy or from any of these other packages, right out of the box, right? And to get real value in terms of alert management, you need to make a small investment in xMatters. Right?
It is true. You're right. I mean, the majority of the products that are out there, whether they're incident change or network management, all can send notifications. All of them can do that. Okay, it's typically one-way emails, and one-way email is, believe it or not, the worst way to get a hold of somebody if you need them, because it's just not intrusive, right? If you're sitting there during this entire presentation and you had your phone sitting there and you got a bunch of emails, you may not have noticed them. However, if you got a text message, your phone beeped and you may have looked at it. If your phone rang, you would have absolutely looked at it and at least checked the phone number. So what we're doing is we're providing intrusive alerts when needed. We're finding that person, we're allowing them to interact. So that interaction is the other piece that's missing out of the box with the majority of the products that are out there.